Hello everyone and welcome to our I Pick My Butt video, more Survivor.io, and a lot of you have asked for me to do this, so here we are. We're going to be ranking every single piece of S grade equipment. We're not actually doing a tier list, we're going to be ranking from what I considered worst to best. Now just a couple of disclaimers here, this is my own personal opinion and how I kind of view all the items inside the game. If you don't agree with this and want to post in the comments what you think should get moved around, be a little constructive and put a reason why you believe that in there. The second thing I want to say is if you could take any single one of these items to Legendary, that should be your highest priority. And if you have the option to even take it to Epic for the attack gear to get that increased attack, that should be your second way to go. Now what I'm calling the worst S grade item in my opinion is going to be the Voidwaker treads. We tested these things out. Yes, it's nice to have the additional speed, but as we found out, there is a speed cap inside the game. Seeing how I tend to grab soccer balls more and more now, I'll pretty much just max out my tennis shoes and go that route. Now, yes, the legendary stat does look pretty awesome, but it's going to take a long time to get there. And from what I'm going to pick something that I could probably get more beneficial use out, like an attack item, or even take to legendary. The next one we're going to have is going to be the Eternal Belt, and once again we tested these out. The revival effect does not actually boost the Eternal Suit, but is more of how you heal inside the game from grabbing meat or even using the meta drill. And where the legendary stat of attack plus 50% when invincible sounds great, it's only going to last for 3 seconds, and this is only going to happen once every minute. Next, we're going to have the Voidwaker Sash, and once again, Revival Effect. We just talked about how that worked, but I gotta say, this is probably one of the coolest effects inside the game. The gain hardened for 5 seconds, every 500 enemy kills. It looks freaking awesome, and it is incredibly good once you get towards the late game, but unfortunately, this is a health-based item, and really, if you're going to be wanting to advance in the game, you gotta focus on the attack. Now keep in mind that harden is just for projectiles, and when you finally go and get it to legendary, that's a point where it will also do collision, but the insta kill to bosses does sound pretty nice too on it, so waiting to get this one there, but as I said, this is a support based item. Next we have the Eternal Boots, and you know I'm a big fan of these, especially with the fire trail, not to mention the fact that it will remove poison on the screen. You'll have to do a little bit of a baby step into it, but it's a big advantage. And the amount of mobs that I kind of contain, and even the bosses I do damage to, with having these equipped is a nice little bonus. Next we hit the Voidwaker Windbreaker, and this is another one that looks pretty cool with the animations on it, but as we know, when you die, you'll then go and whatever damage is done will then heal you up. And a lot of people like this because it does last for about 10 seconds there, which means that you can pretty much be invincible inside the game. But when you finally get it to legendary, all that extra health is then going to be turned into a shield, and if it could be an unlimited amount of health, that would be incredible, but unfortunately it sounds like it's only going to be about 2 or 3 times your maximum health that you can store up. Next we have the Eternal Suit with the free revival when you die, and that's going to be full health on it, but the big thing that I like about this is the plus 15% attack and movement speed that's given to you when you die. And when you get it to legendary, you get a second one, which means yes, that attack and movement speed will also double up too for you. Makes this thing pretty freaking OP, and even in trials, going in and getting those free revives with the revive tokens, it just keeps on stacking away. Next we have the Eternal Necklace, and yes, we're getting into the attack side of things now. This is a very solid piece of equipment to get. I was using the Trinity Charm for a while, and then when I finally got this thing to actual legend, I realized this is a beast. We're going to get the attack boost on it, and obviously we're dealing more damage to enemies with full hit points. So nice numbers to see on it there, and this is definitely something you should add to your arsenal. And it is a nice little addition there to have all passive effects plus the 15%. Next we have the Voidwaker emblem, and this is pretty much the opposite of what the Eternal Necklace is. But the first thing you're going to notice is whenever you level up, you're going to gain additional attack for 5 seconds, and you're going to be dealing more damage to enemies when you're at low health. Now, so the Eternal is going to be doing higher damage at high health, where the Voidwaker is going to be doing higher damage at low health. But the reason I'm putting the Voidwaker above this is because when we get it to the legendary stat, that crit rate increasing is definitely a solid thing to have, just to really make sure you're giving those good punches out there. Next, we're going to be having the Voidwaker handguards, and this is an incredible one when it comes to facing bosses or even going in and Ender's Echoes. But you'll find when you get towards late game, the bosses aren't always really the main issue you run into. It's always going to be the mobs. Yes, there are some times where bosses are difficult and it takes you a couple of tries to get them, but it always seems like it's the mobs that stop you around that 11-minute mark. But I will say this is something that I definitely have my eyes on, and it will be the next thing I take to Epic when I get the chance, just so I can use it in Enders. Next, we have the Eternal Gloves, and once again, I'm a big fan of these things too. My playstyle is usually around having higher hit points, so for me, this is a no-brainer to throw these things on. Having attack plus 20% when over 50% health, the attacks having 10% crit, and the crit rate being plus 10% and the crit rate damage being plus 100% is an awesome way to go in my situation. Now, before we get into the last two, which is obviously going to be the weapons, I just want to say, if you don't have the Eternal suit yet, you don't even have it excellent, and you already have both of the weapons, this is a good option to select the Eternal suit here, just getting it where you can have one free revive and the additional 15% attack and movement speed when you die is a huge thing to get. Now, you know that I'm a huge fan of the Light Chaser, and I'm going to continue running this thing all the way throughout the game. But when it comes down to it, between the Light Chaser and the Void Power, it seems like the Void Power just has a little bit better mechanics than the Light Chaser, and people have already beat the game with the Void Power at excellent rarity. I don't believe that's possible with the Light Chaser, at least from my experience and my playstyle. But I will say, from my experience, I do find that the Light Chaser is a little bit more middle ground between mobs and bosses. When I go in with the Void Power, I really struggle to do damage on the bosses. So even though I do struggle, it seems like having the Void Power, and as I said, it's the mobs that give the issues late game, and the Void Power is able to handle them a lot better with giving you an escape route and giving you a protective bubble to hide behind. So as I said, guys, this is my own list on it. This is just my thought on it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and like I said, if you don't agree with this and want to move things around, give us a reason why. Love to know your thought process behind it and why you feel that way. But other than that, don't forget to like, subscribe, join the Discord, and remember, I pick my butt.